Hello and welcome to the Burning Boat Business, the podcast where we track the progress, the success, and the failures of our business. Burning Boat, now with the new logo, as well as ourselves. We have a new logo. Oh my God, let me do the whole thing again. Hello and welcome to Burning Boat Business, the podcast where we discuss the progress, success, and failures of our business as well as ourselves.
Kind of. That was close. You almost got it right.
What did I...
Normally you say our company, Burning Boat, as well as ourselves, just to clarify that it's Burning Boat Business because we're Burning Boat. But I don't think... I think...
Hello and welcome to Burning Boat Business, the podcast where we follow the progress, success, and failures of our company, Burning Boat, as well as ourselves.
Nice.
Fucked it up right afterwards.
Too much coffee, I think. You're too ready.
No,
you
I'm
come
finally...
in kind of like, all right, here we go.
I had my first night of sleep in I want to say a week plus. I don't know how long it's been since that sore throat.
Damn.
I finally woke up, had a good night's sleep. I feel rested. I feel energized.
We called an emergency podcast today.
We
actually recorded a podcast 2 days ago.
Right.
Uploaded a podcast yesterday, but we thought, actually, there's quite a bit we need to talk about right now.
The real shit.
Because today's normally the day when we finish up our YouTube video that comes out Friday morning. Today's currently Thursday morning. So today's normally a very busy day where we're kind of scrambling to get the video up and finished. And we realized
ideally we would have shot a bunch of stuff already.
Yes.
And we'd kind of be sitting down today and maybe be like, oh, we need to quickly run out for an hour and shoot this one thing. Here we are. It's Thursday.
We have nothing.
We have absolutely fuck all.
We tried to film something yesterday. This episode was meant to be about how we come up with a logo for our company. We kind of half-assed filmed a little bit of us working on that yesterday, doing updates every hour.
Well, let's talk about why we half-assed filmed it. Do you want to try to get into that?
I think, that's kind of what it's about.
Okay.
Is that it just felt like, is this even interesting?
Right.
And it was becoming a little bit more of a how can we save this episode? How can we make this interesting by kind of forcing style into the edit and kind of compensating for the content maybe being a little bit like last week's episode and the episode before that.
Yeah. I think for me it was more I wanted to work on the logo.
That's
I just
true.
didn't want to film.
No. That's 100% what the reason was.
It kind of came down to this, we just wanted to do work. And honestly, filming can be a huge distraction. For example, when we did the Instagram shout-outs, I was kind of going up and doing that time lapse.
Yeah.
It's not that much work, but I feel
it brings you in and out of it.
Totally.
That's the whole idea of deep work.
Right.
You cannot keep...
And that thing was every 15, 20 minutes, you have to get up, move the thing, align it, sit back down, start working again. 15 minutes later, get up again.
Right. And I mean, like you said, it doesn't take that long to do, but just looking at what I was able to do versus what you were able to do.
Right.
And I was still being distracted by, having to help you move it, but I wasn't setting up the record speed or the movement of the slider, and I was able to do over twice as much as you.
Yeah.
And so it just shows that when we're actually working on stuff for the business, it's really hard to combine filming stuff and then also to make it interesting.
Yeah. And I think you can see it in our face. There's some shots where it's the camera goes on, we're working on a computer, and we kind of give this blank stare into the camera.
Yeah.
And it's that it takes a second for you to get out of it and then give an update to the camera and then kind of get back into it, which sometimes is totally fine.
It is. Of course, it's sometimes totally fine. That's why we've done it. And
right.
I think
but other times it's I just want to fucking work on the logo. I don't want to have to worry about what's the thing that makes creating this logo interesting. Do we do a competition? Do we do, what's the thing we can add? Whereas
I don't think it's so much that I just want to work on the logo. I don't care about the video. It's I want to make sure the logo's good. I want to focus on
I
it.
guess.
I want to focus my energy into what I'm doing right now. I don't mind like the idea of then going in today and putting in extra scenes showing us like setting up the computers and like making it like a competition and like stylizing it and then putting in whatever we manage to get. Like
Right.
when we're filming, I don't mind, but it's like the combining two tasks at once that makes both of them just slightly less good.
Right.
That I'm finding a little bit annoying and potentially like a waste of time. So I think the reason why we called a meeting today is to discuss what to do moving forward, specifically with the weekly episodes we're uploading to YouTube.
Right.
What are some solutions to solve this problem, and what do we do with tomorrow's video?
Right. So I think the first question would be like, is it important, I guess? And I would argue, yes, if we look at it from the perspective of like, will we think a video on creating the logo is interesting in 5 years? I think it'll be super interesting.
I love all the videos that we have that
Right.
at the time are annoying to record, and it's like I want to just focus on it, but it's
Right.
so cool to look back on
Right.
and actually have captured that process.
But then I think the other question, well, at least what I would say is that like we can still show that stuff, but less frequently. So rather than having a video every week, which I think was my main problem with this logo, is that like, it's fine to film it and everything, but in your head, you're also like, okay, well, we have a day to do the logo, and then it kind of immediately turns into it's going to be a full day of editing and then showing the video. I wonder if there's better ways to spend the time, or just at least spread out the edits for YouTube, that it's not every week, basically.
Yeah.
Especially next week, we have 3 days where we're working.
And it's only going to get more.
It's only going to get more.
I think that's what we're realizing right now, is that if it's already becoming difficult right now, it's just going to get more.
Right.
And so, I mean, the reason why we're uploading once a week is not so that we can keep everyone updated on a weekly basis. Let me just explain this, because it is to keep people updated, but it's the reason why we're uploading weekly is to be consistent on YouTube, right? That is the main priority. I think another different priority is to show in a very real way what actually goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
Documenting rather than creating stuff, like just showing real time, this is how we made the logo.
Right.
This is kind of our strategy to reaching out to people via email.
Right.
And then making it interesting along the way. But it's starting to become difficult to document it and make it interesting in that time span.
I think in that time span, and with, we don't have Robin anymore. We don't have a third person who can kind of be filming as we're doing something.
Yeah.
Which I think does make it a lot
harder. If we had someone who was just filming us while we were working yesterday and we didn't have to think about filming, we would have definitely had something today.
Yeah.
Oh, and to mention that the footage we filmed yesterday isn't usable because we realized that setting up for this podcast that one of the mics was broken.
Yeah.
Happened to be the mic we were using, so there's no sound.
Yeah.
And it was just talking.
Yeah.
So,
which is a bummer, because there was a cool shot of like, you're like, oh, I made this mistake, and that turned out to be the first iteration of the logo. Yeah.
Yeah, the logo pretty much happened completely by accident. I was just playing around with some weird settings on Photoshop, and I bumped up the saturation like crazy, and it just pixelated the whole image and brought out these weird shades of color, and then I tweaked that, and then we just went from there.
Yeah.
I mean, it became something more, but the idea came from just randomly trying something out. It did not start like that.
Happy accidents.
Fun.
Walter Murch.
The best.
Okay, back to... so if we had a cameraman, I think that would make it a lot easier, because that's what I'm thinking about next week too, is like, if I film you, I mean, to have a YouTube video, we'd have to film each other working, basically, right?
Yeah.
Which is just not possible.
Yeah, we have 3 days where we're working next week, filming for another
Right.
well, it's not a company, but we're filming an event.
Yeah. Or rather, it is possible. I don't think it would be fair to them, though,
Yeah.
to be taking one person and be like, oh, we're shooting stuff for our YouTube video as well.
No, I definitely don't. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
That might just come across as weird.
Right.
And I think it would compromise what we were doing there as well. That's what I mean. It's like I don't want one thing to suffer because of the other,
Right.
and then the other still not to be quite good enough.
Right.
Because that's also, we can't focus on that 100% because we are still working.
Right.
So it's like, I feel like what we need is some kind of combination of days that are dedicated solely to making YouTube content.
Yeah.
And that cannot be something we fit into a week.
Exactly.
We don't have
and I think it's
2-3 days to do that in a week.
And I think we're at a point where it's going to become very repetitive what we do
What we put
day
out.
to day if we do it every week, I think.
I-
Whereas
I-
if we do it over a month,
Yeah.
we have time to kind of be like, how can we make this more interesting? How can we take a day and kind of, I don't know, film and edit something a little bit more creative that represents what we're trying to do. It gives us some extra time to create a competition out of doing the logo or whatever. It doesn't have
It'll
to
tell
be
a story.
Right, exactly.
So the comment, like documenting it is the point, but it's also like delivering it in an interesting way that's engaging and entertaining.
Right.
And we'd be able to do that.
And do a couple more graphics and do a couple more, just basically have a
Make it
higher
better.
produced video.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think there's some negatives to that as well.
There's 100% a lot of negatives.
So if we only come out with a video every month,
It's so difficult to grow an audience that way.
yeah,
Because the way that, just talking about like YouTube algorithms work, it's so, it will favor consistency
right,
so much more than, like one video getting like more views.
but I mean, if we're looking into building an audience, I mean, I guess that's the question. Is it better to have more people looking at something not as good or fewer people looking at something really good? Like, what's the sort of, formula for, well, how many people end up sticking with you or how many people end up subscribing? 'Cause it takes
Obviously, the second option. Obviously, the better.
less people with better content.
Yeah. But
So-
I think what we could maybe come up with is a solution to still try and put out consistent content
Yeah.
with the intention potentially of it just being simpler content that is meant to be quick, and it's not more than it is. It is just for the sake of being consistent and for updating those people who do want to check in regularly.
Right.
Because I think there is something really cool about the real time.
Right.
And having a month gives us, it does give us the, I guess, advantage, but it also could be a disadvantage of being able to change what the story was. I think what's interesting is that by doing it weekly, we have to show, well, this is how we reached out to people,
Right.
and it didn't work.
Right.
Or, well, actually, we weren't able to show if it worked or not.
Right.
That might be interesting in a month to be able to say, well, actually, out of the 25 people we emailed, we received this kind of feedback.
Right.
But we could also make it look better than it potentially was by, we actually met these people randomly, had nothing to do with the email. But in terms of making a story, it fits better to make it look like we put all this hard work in and it paid off.
Exactly.
Even though it actually paid off from something else, but story-wise, that's how it felt.
Yeah, I think a month is enough time to really dive into a topic.
Yeah, and create something where you can...
Because it even gives us, I mean, if we're going to do a video, let's say on emailing or like networking basically, right? For a month. Obviously we can shoot other stuff as well, which means other videos could almost span 2 months.
Yeah.
or 3 months.
Well, that's what our idea was.
You know, and like the rock climbing video could have been 3 months. That would have been insane, and we can still do that.
Yeah.
But it's like taking it from us signing up at the rock climbing gym to then finally
Yeah.
lead climbing a 7A is like, it's a video. It's like a mini documentary almost.
Yeah, and that's way more interesting. And that's what we wanted to do.
Right.
But I just don't see us being able to do that as well as the weekly.
Well, because also for some reason the weeks are going by so fucking quickly because I feel like we don't have weekends. We just kind of, at least I don't really know what day it is except for when it comes to like YouTube uploading stuff.
That's the only, I know when it's Thursday.
Right, exactly.
And I guess I know a little bit because I know when Phoebe's here and when she's not.
But everything just flashes by like a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already next week. I feel like we just did the video last week.
Yeah. I think another positive to doing something like monthly uploads is that, might be repeating myself, but the weekly uploads just don't capture the full thing.
Yeah.
It just can't finish. We can't finish the story because things don't happen
maybe
that
why
quickly.
we don't have endings.
Yeah, I think that is why.
Yeah.
There just wasn't an outcome.
Right.
You know, what is the story of going rock climbing once? It is just going rock climbing. There is no, it maybe would be about documenting one specific climb that we can't do in the beginning of the climb and we work our way up to be able to do it at the end of the climb.
Right.
But that doesn't always happen.
Right.
But what we could definitely do is, you know, show, like you said, the progression of signing up to climbing this.
Right. And I think that's what we're looking, because otherwise, you know, when you look at some of these other YouTube videos, I'm not necessarily sure we're in the same category, because we're not just saying, hey, what's up? Here's an update on what we're doing, basically, right? We do very much want to tell a story, which is why we fucking
That's why they're
spend
fun.
so much time in the editing room.
That's why we like
pulling
doing
our
it.
hair
we
out.
We like making the videos.
No, exactly. But I think we spend a lot of time trying to create a story as opposed to just throwing the footage in and being like, well, this is what happened this week.
Yeah. It's
Right?
not a vlog. It might feel like a
Yeah.
vlog in terms of, oh, it looks like we just pulled out the camera and filmed stuff.
Right.
But we're very much trying to make it more than just talking to the camera and have a feeling of progression through it,
Right.
or at least, you know, different acts, if you can call it that, beginning, middle, and end. And
So I'm just going to keep throwing out just kind of what comes to the top of my head. There is also a negative that I think it's a lot more pressure.
yeah,
If you do one video a month, it's suddenly...
but I think
Goddamn, that's gotta be a good
we
video.
would thrive off
think
of
so
that.
too.
I think that would just make it like, what's the awesome part of the video gonna
Yeah.
be? Like, what's that moment gonna
Yeah.
be? And we have a whole month to actually go out and execute it. I find myself being so annoyed when it's like we have an idea of like showing a logo and how that's being made as a video. That's a cool concept, but we're not really going to be able to put the time in to really make it exciting
Right.
through, you know, the way it's filmed and through the way it's edited.
Right.
It's just going to have to be a step down because doing it that way is going to require too much time. We don't have that time. We aren't YouTubers. That's the thing. I think you said it perfectly
Yeah.
yesterday. Like, if we were YouTubers and that was our full-time job,
Yeah.
we'd go out and we'd do all these fun things and make videos about it.
Right.
We already have the things we're doing. We don't really have a lack of things we're
not going to go
committed
out
to.
and buy some Orbeez or slime and start trying to make videos with that. Which nothing against that,
No,
right?
no.
But it's just a very different category.
It's not like we're lacking stuff to do.
Right.
We already have. We have our job and
Right.
our hobbies.
Right.
They're set.
Right.
Those are not going to change.
Right.
So we need to make content about that.
Right.
If we want to make stuff on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that video, you showed me a video yesterday by someone who has like 90,000 subscribers on YouTube.
I think you hit 100.
Hit 100. And the video is just amazing.
It was really good.
It was just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I immediately was like, I'm going to remember to go afterwards on my account and subscribe because I liked the video so much.
Yeah.
that I want to keep watching it.
Yeah.
That's how good it was.
Yeah.
I think there's something very exciting about that. And also, I brought out my decision book. I have a book that's like basically 50 different models for making decisions. And there's a lot of interesting ways of like weighing the strengths and the weaknesses and the, you know, all these like standard ways of doing it. But then there's an interesting one about like breaking the mold, and that sometimes there's some, like what we're talking about is doing something outside of what you're told to do if you want to succeed on YouTube, which is be consistent. It's all about consistency.
Right.
Maybe we should not follow that, and maybe we should go for making just amazing content once a month, and that the consistency thing is too competitive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the idea is that consistency on YouTube means that people can start to get used to the fact that you're uploading, start to expect it, start to make it part of their routine. They watch at the same time.
Right.
It becomes something they look forward to and they know comes out on Mondays and Fridays.
Right.
And that works. I think people do, the people who are subscribed to us do know that we upload on these days, whether or not they're like aware of it. I feel like,
I've had a few people tell me
it's
like,
about time that a video
yeah.
should be coming out. I'm going to go check. It's out.
Yeah.
But maybe to really grow and to see some actual change on the channel, because it is still just, steady.
It's very slow.
Slow and steady.
Yeah. Which is fine.
And it's going up. But let's experiment and let's try and just make some seriously original content that's just on another level, which we know we can do because we do it with segments.
Right.
We'll have like a minute that we're really proud of.
Right.
And then we'll have like 5 minutes that are just there because we couldn't keep working on it. And see what happens.
I really like that.
Just the fact that it makes me feel so excited means that there's something about it. The negatives are outweighed by the potential benefits of it.
Yeah, and I do feel very much like my for these weekly videos, I feel like I'm really straining, especially for this video.
Yeah.
To come up with something creative.
Yeah.
I feel like it's sort of tapped. I'm starting to think about the same things we've already done.
And that's
because there's only so much you can do in a week, or there's only so many tricks in my playbook that I can pull out in a day.
I think we should be clear, though, that is our own doing. We have set very high standards for ourselves. And it's not that we are, like, poor us, we can't come, we have too little time. We definitely have time, but we don't want to put out content that is just us explaining what's happening.
Right.
I don't think that we necessarily thrive in front of the camera and that we're really great personalities.
No, I was gonna bring that up. We can't rely on our personalities to keep people
in the same way that other YouTubers.
Yeah, we're not coming in like, hey, what's going on, guys?
It's not super exciting like that, and we don't want to be that. That's fine. So maybe what we do is just try and like knock it out of the park with one video a month.
So we'd come out with our next video, 24th of September, something like that.
And I think we should experiment. I think we're at a point where it's not
How many episodes have we done?
Done 8.
We've done 8. So the only thing I would say is like, we should go to 10 and then, but then it's also like, no.
That's the first thing I thought too. I was like, let's just grind out 2 more episodes so that we've hit 10. But then I was like, what's the reason? If the only reason is so that we can say we've done 10,
right,
that's a bad reason. There has to be a better reason than that.
Right.
If the only reason is because we said coming up next on is the logo video, that's also just a bad reason. I don't think that's strong enough. There has to be a serious benefit to doing that. It's like I think it's called a fallacy, where you begin something, like you start a book and like you've read 60 pages and you realize that I don't like this book, but I've read 60 pages, so I have to finish it. And it makes the process of finishing that book like a long, painful thing. Whereas really you should just say, I don't like this book, and you should stop reading it right now. and start reading something you do like.
Is that anything like where you're waiting for a train and it's not coming, and you know there's another train coming on the platform, but you're like, I've already waited here for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's
Now I
wrong.
feel like I
You
need to
should
stick with
change.
this
Right when
train.
you realize that it's wrong, you should change, or at least experiment with seeing if that works.
yeah.
Because then at least you could just go back and wait again.
Yeah.
So I think I feel quite good about the decision, if that is a decision.
I think that's what we go with. Because I really do think that the positives outweigh the negatives. I think there's so much more stuff that I could bring up. You know, the fear setting.
We could do it real.
It could be so much better if it's once a month. It's just not.
It'll
trying to
be
I think
up
that's
here.
Yeah.
It'll be
a couple of them
real.
that we've done turned out
Very well.
great.
Yeah.
And a couple turned out bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And I think the bad ones were like just stressing to come up with something like
Yeah.
because we want to be genuine. We don't want to fake things, which I think makes it that much harder for us to come up with. We could easily be like, oh, I'm scared of this, so let's go out and do that. But we always question each other, like, is this something you're actually scared of?
Yeah.
Right? Don't bullshit me. Don't
Yeah.
bullshit the audience. Like,
Yeah.
100% you have to be. And that's quite tough to do every week.
But then you come up with something that's like, I'm genuinely afraid and very nervous and uncomfortable about the idea of emailing people that I haven't emailed for a while,
Right.
who are expecting me to
Right.
email. It's like, great, that's something, like, let's work with that.
Right.
That's very hard to convey
Right.
visually.
Right.
And in a video, story-wise.
Exactly.
So then it's like, we haven't spent the time trying to really show that.
And I think there's just so many. Now that it's a month, too, it's like we can play with the format. There can be 2 fear settings. There can be. There's so many different ways you can go about doing it because we'll just have so much footage to work with, I feel like.
It'll just be concentrated.
Yeah.
Like you were saying yesterday, let's just imagine real quick that the past 4 videos were one video.
Right. It would be 40 minutes long.
No, that's exciting
Yeah,
to think
yeah,
because
exactly.
we'd be able to show the progression of going from, we're still working on free jobs, we don't know if this is going to work.
Right.
Like, this is just what we thought is a good strategy.
Right.
To now it's working.
Yeah.
And we can show that.
Yeah.
And it'll be visually interesting because
Yeah.
we'll have come up with a concept. That's the other thing. It's like, okay, what can we do today to make today's video visually interesting? What like little trick can we use? Like last week we used the swish
Whip
pans.
pan,
The
yeah.
whole thing was with whip pans and it was cool.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know, it's a little bit, I feel like it's a little bit cheating.
Yeah.
It's just using a gimmick to make it seem like it's more interesting.
Right. But that would be sick as like in the middle of a video, a
Yeah.
super quick thing.
Yeah.
We take last week's video, edit it down to a minute.
Yeah. And really,
That's really cool. That's a really cool transition of
Yeah.
like
stuff being done.
a week just happened.
Yeah.
Now here's the next thing.
Showing the grinding of
Right.
what day-to-day tasks look like.
We have been grinding as a company,
Mm-hmm.
and that's hard to show. It's hard to make
It is.
visually interesting if that's all we're doing that week. And we've done it. I think we've done a pretty good job at making it interesting, but I think it could be that much more interesting.
I love the combination of showing just the real stuff.
Right.
Like when we filmed with the GoPro that one night when we couldn't edit.
Right.
And it was just raw footage. Nothing really was done to make it more. And we put subtitles in so people
Yeah.
could understand it.
Yeah.
But combining that with something stylistic that just is added to the end of that to really cement what the experience was like.
Yeah.
Something that is totally created. It's fake.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah.
But it fits in and
Yeah.
it makes it. Yeah, because we're not trying to just do like daily vlogs that just show what we're doing today. We are trying to tell a story and trying to show how we work as a company and how we're growing.
And the quinoa video, for example, the reason I like that so much is because we're spending, 2 days editing 25 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's something we just can't do. And I think we should do more of.
Yeah.
Because it adds skills and stuff that you can't otherwise,
Yeah.
kind of, for the YouTube stuff, especially with the graphics stuff, it's like in my head, I have to be like, I need to be able to do this in 5-6 hours Otherwise, we just can't do it. Mm-hmm. There's just not enough time.
And another benefit, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
Is that with this model, if we have a busy week, well, it allows us to be more flexible with our schedule.
Right, exactly.
We don't have to dedicate all Thursday to YouTube stuff.
Right.
We can have that be a default. Thursdays are generally when we aren't working on
And I think,
other things, but we can.
yes.
So we can like plan, all right, let's do a big shoot this weekend. We have
Yeah.
this idea that will
Yes.
just perfectly fit into this video. Let's execute it and spend a whole weekend on it because we
Yes.
have this weekend.
Yes.
But we don't next weekend. We don't the
Yes.
weekend after that.
In
will
many
be
ways, I think it's more efficient.
It is definitely more efficient.
You know, I think we will actually save time because it's like today, for example, for the video, we're like, oh, how do we start the video?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, maybe it's cool, some sort of sequence where I'm riding my bike, get to your place, right? And then it sort of, so it essentially shows how I get here, and then it kind of rewinds in time, and then it shows the exact same period of time what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? And they both kind of meet at the same point of me knocking at the door or whatever.
Yeah, it's cool.
But we would have to go out today and shoot it and blah, blah, blah. Whereas, you know, I think maybe this is a bad example, but it's just like if I wanted to shoot my morning routine, over the course of a month, we could find a day where I could take the equipment home and shoot it naturally the way it actually happens, as opposed to being on a Thursday, like, all right, I'm going to come to your place. We're going to get all the equipment. Then we're going to go back to my place. We'll shoot some of the stuff. Then we'll go back to your place. We'll shoot some of that. You know, it's just,
Yeah.
that's not a very efficient way to do things. But when you have a very strict time constraint, it forces you to do that kind of. I think we've done stuff like that before, where it's like it's just inefficient.
I think so. And I think this is for the last couple of podcasts. I don't want to say we've been like complaining, but we have been like saying, "Oh, it's hard. Oh, what do we do?" This is something to do. This is something we can change.
Yeah.
We're acting on what we're realizing. And if it's the wrong thing, it's the wrong thing. If it's the right thing, great. At least we're doing something differently now. And not to mention the time that we could then actually work on our own projects.
Fucking God.
Because I think to be able to do something like this and make the most of it, we'd have to make very specific schedules.
Right.
So what we're already doing with the weekly YouTube videos is we're sitting down and we're making like a list of these
Right.
are the things we want to show in the video. This is the sequence. And this is when we should film them. But it's all like in 2 days.
Right.
And it's just not enough time to fully flesh out that idea. So doing the same thing with, all right, next weekend we're filming this part. We're starting with something that we think will be the video by the end.
Right.
And then adjusting as we realize what it's going to become. So like, okay, this video should be about rock climbing progression.
Right.
So obviously we're going to film. We need to film at least 4 sessions. Schedule those sessions in so that we know when they are.
Right.
But that leaves all this other time open to focus on our feature-length films. Because
Exactly.
we know when it's going to be filmed.
That's good. I think that's good.
Because it's just the difference. Yeah, it might be slightly more efficient in terms of how much time we're spending on the videos.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to be like revolutionarily efficient. I think what it does, though, is it clears up mental space that you know ahead of time that on Thursday and Friday this week, I'm not doing anything other than working on my feature-length project. So on the other days, it's just you're kind of thinking about it and preparing yourself for those 2 days. It's not like all of a sudden it's Friday, we've uploaded our video in the morning.
Right.
You're kind of left like, I'm done.
Yeah.
How am I possibly going to get into the mindset to work on this huge project?
For a day, because we're shooting the 120 challenge the next day.
Yeah.
You know?
But if you had a little bit of time to think about it.
I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah.
I think it will be a revolutionary difference in efficiency. I really do. Because instead of
maybe
finalizing 40 minutes of footage,
yeah,
we're still only going to be finalizing 10 minutes.
So we can just, you don't have to
Do you
film
know
as
what I mean?
much either.
That getting that edit from like good to great, I think is kind of what takes the longest time. Is like adding the sound effects. It's all that the rough cutting and stuff. Yeah,
That's
it takes
quick.
time to watch the footage, but the edit is quite quick actually.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many things we could do.
Yeah.
I think we could actually execute the ideas that we have been wanting to do, like the lucid dreaming, like the
Exactly.
climbing video.
Ooh, don't bleep that out. Bleep that out. We've got some good video ideas, and this isn't coming out of nowhere. I mean, for those videos, we had said as well, like we need a month to do this.
Yeah.
So we'll film this while
We're doing everything else.
which is just not possible.
Well, I think it might be, but I haven't found the right strategy yet.
For me, it's like it's too hard to focus on a lot of things at once. I think I need things introduced.
I think that's a fact.
Yeah.
I don't think that's just you and me.
Okay. Well.
I think that's how it is for the vast majority of people.
Right. But that's the thing. I mean, if we're filming all day, then editing all day, then the last thing on my mind is like, let me take home the camera because I need to remember to film myself sleeping.
It's just, I hate saying too much because it makes it sound like it's just suck it up and do it. But we haven't been able to do it yet, so we have to change something about it.
Yeah.
And we're choosing to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, I guess that's the announcement. We're gonna start uploading once a month from now on out. That's not to say we're still coming out with a podcast every week. We're still gonna do the 120 challenges, right?
Yeah.
I think we can come up with a couple more things like the 120 challenges
Yeah, I think
that
so.
kind of just take a day here or there just to kind of create some extra content. I think we should still be coming out with stuff consistently.
I think so.
It's just that the Taking the Island series,
Which is showing that's the core of what we're doing.
Right.
That's the real
and
stuff.
you know what? It is a natural progression because it's like at the beginning of creating a company, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot to show.
Yeah.
And then I think it does sort of taper off, and it's like we have to be patient with
What's happening?
the company's growth.
Yeah.
Right. To give an update every week.
It's still the
It's
same.
a little intense.
We're still doing the same thing. We're still emailing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same.
So I think it's a totally natural progression. So I think that's what we're gonna do from today on out, which means there's no video coming out tomorrow.
Or we spend the rest of the day coming up with a very quick announcement that we could post on YouTube.
Yeah, we could do that.
Talking about
or we
this.
could post this podcast tomorrow.
Surprise podcast.
SP. Suppressive person.
I guess you'll know what we did because this will come out, or actually if it comes out tomorrow.
What are we at, 38 minutes?
Yeah.
Let's take it to 45. You got anything else?
Well, let's try and come up with what could we do
For tomorrow.
/ what are some ideas to be more consistent.
So I think one interesting aspect that I've been wanting to do is tutorial videos because I think it does. They're not the most interesting, but that's honestly what I grew up with and where everything I know and have taught myself in film has come from those tutorial videos. I would say like 90% and like 10% came from film school.
So because I think that's something that you could organize by yourself.
Right.
And do by yourself.
Totally.
And maybe we could alternate, kind of like what we're doing with
I just
something
think
like
there's
the blog.
Yeah.
Which I really want to write my blog.
Why haven't you then?
I hate saying that. I just haven't had time to do it. I haven't prioritized it because I prioritized other things.
Right.
I want to be able to prioritize. I want to be able to write the blog.
Okay. So that's one idea is tutorials.
But what I was saying was we could alternate weeks.
We could do that.
So a tutorial a week. Come up with something interesting.
But I think we need more. Because I don't want to fall into this thing again with fear setting where it's like, oh, I have to do a tutorial this week. Let me just come up. It's like, genuinely, here's something we use that we think would make your videos better, whatever.
It's true. We're very, at least I'm tempted to always say like, this amount. And,
right.
And then it's like, that works fine 6 weeks in a row.
Right.
And suddenly you're like, well, actually, I don't have anything this week.
Right.
I don't want to just put something out that's not actually interesting.
Right.
So, okay, let's be a little bit more flexible.
I think we should just have a basket of things that we know, like we have the 120 challenges, we have the tutorials, we have...
I mean, we could play around with the idea of actually doing what we don't want to do with the main episodes, where it's just us talking and updating what's like putting together something with the whatever we edited with the logo yesterday.
Right.
Like if we're doing a logo today, this is how we did it.
Right.
Showing that, but not getting all hung up in like the fear setting being perfect and the like transitions and the sound effects and the like cinematic
I don't know
style.
if I can do that though. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't want to put out shitty stuff. Like.
But I don't think it's shitty. It's just, it's not trying to be anything other than this is how we made a
simple logo.
Yeah.
Video. Okay.
I guess that would fall under tutorials then, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Maybe.
And if you want to go off and shoot vlogs, I think that's
fine
as well.
I don't want to.
If you want to be a vlogger, if you want to,
I do not want to
hey
be a vlogger.
guys, me and Phoebe at the beach today.
Oh God, no thanks. I don't. I always, if there's a time when I don't have a camera on me, it's a good time.
Yeah. Let me try to think of some more.
See, maybe there isn't anymore. Maybe this is what we do wrong normally, and we have to try and fill space. But what we want is more time. So let's just see how it goes. If we start seeing like a dramatic rate of people unsubscribing, or of like the consistent subscribers we are getting, if that starts to stop, oh, we do need to come up with more ideas to stay consistent. We still execute the idea of a month for a Taking the Island episode. But maybe let's see.
Let's just chill out. Not chill out.
No, not chill out. Just observe.
Chill out on that front, so that we can open up a little bit of the space. I'm so fucking excited to dive into my feature film.
Yeah. It's not that we're just going to sit around. It's we're going to spend time on other things that aren't immediately being seen.
Right.
I think that's another major point. It's like, what's the end goal? The end goal isn't to have 200 videos on YouTube in a year. It's to grow an audience and to grow an audience to see our feature-length films. So if those aren't there, then the other thing doesn't make sense either.
Exactly.
Yeah, I want to write that script. I want to like dive into it and get really lost in the story and come up with some new exciting things, which happen on occasion, but I want more of it.
Right.
I think that's why it's a good decision. It's driven from a place of excitement and seeing the benefit of having this situation, not from a place of, oh, we can't keep up, or we can't. It's coming from a what imagine what we could do.
Right.
Which is good. It's a positive thing.
Okay.
It's not coming from a, well, it is. It's definitely both.
No, I see what you're saying.
But I think
the way you see it, I guess you could either say we're totally overwhelmed, which is why we're doing this, or we could say this is a really good opportunity to.
That's what I think. Yeah. It's more that than the. It's not. I don't necessarily feel that overwhelmed. What I
feel is
I
just don't want to put out shitty.
Exactly.
Content.
I feel a little bit hesitant to put stuff out that I know could be better.
Yeah. And I think that is the end of this emergency meeting. Or do you have anything else to say?
Over.
Meeting adjourned. See you motherfuckers next week on Burning Boat Business.